Mr. Benny, you've reduced yourself to the level of a Holocaust denier. It's a real shame.
Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton, Weiss, and Kurt Metzger here filling in for Jimmy, who is on the road this week. All right, so some new polling out of Israel has come out. Max Blumenthal read through it and put it in this concise, nice tweet here. New Penn State poll confirms Jewish-Israeli society is comprehensively fascist, completely unredeemable, and a dire threat to humanity. 82% support the forced expulsion of residents of Gaza. 56% support the forced expulsion of Arab citizens of Israel. 47% believe the Israeli army should, quote, act like the biblical Israelites under Joshua in Jericho, killing all inhabitants of a conquered city.
Quick, that one in particular is gall. As a guy that had to study a lot of Bible growing up, if you want, they don't want them to act like the Israelites in the Bible, or else half of them would be slaughtered along with the Palestinians. Because the Bible ones, you had to. That's why religious Jews, a specific branch, thinks it's blasphemy that Israel is there.
Right.
Because Israel was promised that, but every time they broke God's commandments, they got their stuff taken away by the Assyrians and the Babylonians. They're always being warned by prophets in the Bible. So it's again with this Bible crap. Bill Maher pushes it, and he's an atheist, and he pushes that it's Israel's. Somehow 70% of the justification for it is the Bible. If they're not all following Torah like that, then guess what? It's not blessed by God. That's just in the internal logic of the religion.
Ah, yes. Good point. See, you have more of education in that than I do, because you have a background in that. I'm just a secular, self-hating Jew. 65%. There you go. 65% believe in a modern-day incarnation of Amalek, a biblical enemy of the Jews.
That's really low. It means blood lickers in that language, and it's not, Palestinians are not Amalek. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in Amalek. I just think Amalek are the people who invented the automatic renewal on Netflix and all the subscription services. Those are Amalek.
You took that out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, they're Amalek. They're Amalek. Yeah. I mean, you should
pop-up ads, Amalek.
Pop-up ads, Amalek. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Unskippable ads, Amalek. I like the skippable ads. We could skip it after 5 seconds. Everything else, Amalek.
Don't even let their livestock remain.
No, if you're watching one of these videos and you get an unskippable ad, email us and we'll tell YouTube we have a problem with Amalek on the platform. 93% of those who believe in Amalek believe the biblical command to erase Amalek still applies today.
Be careful with that.
Yeah. 69% of secular Israelis support expelling Gaza's population, and 31% support mimicking the biblical destruction of Jericho. Just 9% of men under 40 oppose all genocide scenarios for Palestinians. Now, Norm Finkelstein, more like Chad Finkelstein. Look at Norm. Look at that guy. Call this guy Chad Finkelstein.
Yeah.
Look how good he looks. I mean, he looks like $1 million. He looks like he's been living in fucking, the Miami for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's thin, he's muscular, and he's always so morbid. I've interviewed Norm 3 times, and he always gets very morbid and melancholy and reflective on his life. And I only have a few years left. I'm like, look at you. You're not. First of all, you're not that old. You're in great shape. You look tan and rested. I mean, the guy's incredible.
Get out of New York.
Right, exactly. Get out of New York. That's right. He lives in New York and he looks like that. Imagine he lived in a hospitable environment like Austin. What he would look like.
I mean,
he look like he's 35.
They got a lot of homeless problem here. It's like a little taste of home, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, we have that here too, of course. Anyway, here's Chad Finkelstein versus Benny Morris on the Piers Morgan show, where he cites some of these numbers, and he calls Benny Morris a Holocaust denier. Good for him.
No destiny on this one?
No destiny on this one, but Benny Morris was Mr. Borelli, Destiny's partner during that viral debate. Yeah, absolutely.
Fully 1/2 of Israeli Jews believe that Israel should conduct a genocide in Gaza. That's what the poll result showed. 82%.
That's a lie. That is a lie.
I know, Benny. Everybody's lying.
There's
never
been a poll about supporting genocide.
Mr.
This is nonsense.
Mr. Borelli, you should have whipped out the destiny.
Okay, Benny,
Is that
Danny, I
poll,
think
Norman?
this
What
is
is
a
that?
case
What
of
is
the
that
kettle
poll? What
calling
is
the-
that poll, Norman? It seems a very important poll.
The poll
What is
was
that poll
taken.
you're referring to?
It was a university, if my memory is correct, it was a University of Pennsylvania poll.
It was Penn State, but close enough.
It was reported everywhere. Benny Morris knows about the poll. He's fully informed of the poll, but he's doing
It's a
his
lie.
job as an official Israeli
No, I have
propagandist.
no job. I don't
know,
like
Benny.
this. I don't like this government.
Benny,
I'm not their
Benny,
spokesman.
You've
but you
reduced
shouldn't lie.
yourself. You've reduced yourself, Mr. Benny. You've reduced yourself to the level of a Holocaust denier. It's a real shame.
Good for him. I love that
Yeah.
because look, Norman Finkelstein has given his life to this cause, and he's been called a Holocaust denier himself. And so good for him for playing that card, for just
didn't
shoving it right
know-
back in their face. Yeah.
Dude, when I finally understood the situation there, it wasn't until he came on. I think Jimmy was out and he came on. I can't remember if it was you guys or Pasta.
It was Pasta. I remember that
Well,
interview. That was
yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
And he explained it in a way no one has ever explained it to me. And a lot of people, it has not been explained to them the way
Yep.
that he did it. And more importantly than that, and what I think really has credence to it, he sounded really Jewy while he said it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. He checks that box for sure. No doubt about that.
You can't
And you
deny
have
that. You
some-
can't go anti-Semitism with that. You can't.
No,
So-
but they do, man. They ruined this guy. This guy had family killed in the camps, and yet the Zionists come after him more viciously than they do. The Zionists have more hatred for guys like Norm than they do
Mhm.
Arabs, than they do the
Oh,
Palestinians.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I dated an Israeli. She was from Elkins Park in Pennsylvania, where they, by the way, they brought all those Ukrainian Nazis and they had that statue to them.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah.
Her parent Israeli, and I'm well acquainted with the level of racism, and that thing Russell said that the Israelis are the only Jews that aren't funny is really a funny line.
Right, yeah.
That look, and I know Israelis that the seller is like Palestine before Zionism. It's a bunch of Arabs and Jews working together in peace that really like each other.
Right.
And
Well,
I never heard the real thing coming out of there. I just heard all these stupid talking points.
right. Well, you're a comic. You know that to be funny, you have to be vulnerable. To be
Right.
funny, you have to have a sense of humor about yourself. And Israelis, not only are they not vulnerable, they detest vulnerability. They see vulnerability as weakness, right?
Yeah.
So they have a special hatred for Jews who, in their minds, play into that sort of nebbishy, vulnerable, weak
Oh,
archetype,
yeah,
like the Larry
interesting.
David, like the Woody Allen. They hate
Right.
that. They call them Holocaust Jews, in fact, right? Because
Really?
they're Jews who exploit the archetype of weakness, right? And so, yeah, that's why the Israelis are not funny, because
like-
they refuse to be
Oh.
vulnerable. Yeah.
It's like how South Koreans don't like Ken Jong.
Yeah, I'm less acquainted with that dynamic, but yeah,
Well, my
this
girl
I can
taught
speak to.
ESL too back then, and
Oh, there you go.
They I think because he showed his little wiener in one of those hangover movies. I think it like,
Oh,
like he makes it look like the stereotypes about
Right,
it, you
right.
know.
right? Yeah, understood.
So low, but allow me to continue. The poll showed that 82% of Israeli Jews, 82% support a forced expulsion from Gaza
That's
of
not
the
the same
entire
as genocide. That
population.
may be true. That
Then-
may be true, but that's not genocide.
That's not genocide,
Yeah.
no.
And
That's not
50%,
genocide.
since
What you said
say-
before about
since you
genocide
say
is
that
total
87%
nonsense. Total
okay.
nonsense.
Piers, you're going to have to ask Benny Morris to please allow me to speak.
Well, Benny, I will let
You're
you
taking
respond
up
to
all the
this.
time, though.
Yeah,
But
Norman,
look,
you must
Finkelstein is
give him a
getting all
chance to
the time.
respond.
Okay, I will finish. I will finish. Then one of the leaders of the opposition in Israel described Israeli soldiers as killing children as a hobby in Gaza. Now, yes, he took it back. He took it back after he came under ferocious attack. But he himself acknowledged, when I debated Mr. Morris about a year ago, and I said that Israel targets children, he laughed. He thought it was such a
'Cause it's
funny remark
nonsense.
by me.
It's
No,
absolute.
I'm wondering.
absolute
I'm
nonsense.
wondering.
You're talking like that right now. It's just incredible. And he's actually making the argument. He's actually trying to parse ethnic cleansing and genocide, as if those are two different things in this context of all contexts. It is
I
an
tried to do
ethnic
that.
cleansing project through genocide. They are using genocide as a means to ethnically cleanse Gaza. The end result is to purge Gaza of all of the Palestinian people. In order to do that, they are killing as many of them as is necessary to terrorize and thus drive out the remaining survivors. So is their goal literally to kill them all? No. Their goal is to ethnically cleanse Gaza, but they are willing and able and, in fact, are engaged in mass murder on such a scale as to scare the remaining survivors out. So you're really going to parse that as no, that's not genocide? I mean, it is unbelievable.
Keaton, I tried to do that. I literally, because I told you I wasn't comfortable saying genocide. I heard leftists saying it, and I wasn't comfortable with that. I'm like, well, it's an ethnic cleansing, just because of how uncomfortable it is to have to look at the truth and say what it is. And the only reason I don't do that now is because after we cover enough of these stories, you have to be intentionally lying and being paid with Hasbro money to be able to do that, and I'm not. And that guy, I bet you is, which is why Norman said that. And that old debate with Destiny was he got coached and he was getting that money. And he wanted to sue Norman Finkelstein, but he couldn't because Discovery would have shown that it's true.
Right. Well, let's take a look at Benny Morris here. Can we just get rid of that logo for a second? Thanks. Benny Morris is an Israeli historian who has written several books on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He served in the IDF as a paratrooper from 1967 to 1969 and was wounded during his service. That's a shame. From 1997 to 2017, he was a professor of history in the Middle East Studies Department of Ben Gurion University of the Negev in the city of Beersheba, Israel. So, yes, the Middle East Eye has a report. Nearly half of Israelis support army killing all Palestinians in Gaza. Poll finds this rehashes some of what we've already read, so we're not going to read much of it. But an overwhelming majority of Israeli Jews support the transfer of Palestinians from Gaza, according to a poll by Pennsylvania State University. The survey, conducted in March and published by Haaretz newspaper on Thursday, found that 82%, once again, of Israeli Jews support the forced expulsion of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip.
One thing. Sure. The thing about Amalek, I can't remember what the number was in the poll. When they say dog whistles and all that, when they're saying Amalek like that, that is a call to genocide, because that's the Bible's. Sam Harris, who the Bible's immoral because of genocide, he goes for that. He's cool with that. That's genocide right there, the Amalek talk. If that was reversed, you better believe they call it genocidal talk.
Oh, yeah, but dude, from the river to the sea is considered genocidal talk. Now they're talking about, after the thing that happened there at the embassy, the counterfeit flag operation. Now they're saying free Palestine is
so I think if that counts,
a genocidal phrase. Right,
exactly. Probably counts, does it?
Exactly. The same poll showed that the Israeli public also supports the continuation of the full blockade that Israel has imposed on the Gaza Strip since the beginning of March. So now we're talking about withholding of aid. That's something Max didn't get into in his tweet. It found that 53% of the Israeli public think that Israel should not allow humanitarian aid into the enclave. Not only do they think they should not allow aid in, they think it's a really great look to have a barbecue outside the gates separating Israel from Gaza. Here they are. And this is not the first we've seen of this.
No, it's not.
Jeremy Lafredo, who got detained in Israel, he did a whole thing. This was had to be either late 2023, early 2024, of essentially the same scene, a carnival with popcorn machines and music and just like a street fair.
Because this made me very upset, and I related on other shows I went on. Somebody started crying when I said it. It's really upset. That's dark, man. But those kids, I'll never forget that, because I saw the starving kids in the thing, and they purposely had like cotton candy and stuff kids like, so the kids could extra feel it. That's how vicious. That's just like, dude, I mean, that's dark. I don't know how else to put it.
No, it is just pure sadism. No other word for it. According to the Penn State poll, support for the mass expulsion of Palestinians from the enclave was also found among 70% of the secular Jewish public, parts of which are considered liberal Meanwhile, support among the Mansortum, I don't even know how to say that. That's how bad a Jew I am. I'll have to ask Russell if I got that right. Religious and ultra-Orthodox communities exceeds 90%. The sweeping and cross-political and social support for the expulsion of Palestinians does not stop at the borders of the occupied Gaza Strip. According to the poll, 56% of Israeli Jews support the expulsion of Palestinian citizens of Israel from their lands. Now, Norm Finkelstein referred to the gentleman here who criticized Israel for killing children as a hobby. So Israeli opposition leader Yair Golan criticizes killing children as a hobby. And then, of course, he did take it back after controversy, says Israel certainly does not kill Gaza babies as a hobby. That's the Bernie Sanders of Israel, everybody. Oh, well, it turns out they're not killing. Oh, sorry. Was I not supposed to say that? I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. Benjamin Netanyahu understands that those who kill children as a hobby should pay their fair share of taxes. He understands that. He moderated his tone on that. So he took it back. He walked it back. Not a normal war. Doctors say children have been targeted by Israeli snipers in Gaza. Yes, Feroz Sidwa, who wrote that piece in the New York Times, talking about how he found in X-ray images bullets in children's head. He volunteers at a hospital in Gaza. A heroic man. He just testified at the UN, which we'll probably cover later in the week. So there is plentiful evidence of that. Israel murders Gaza's youngest influencer, Yakin Hamad, who'd volunteered her time for humanitarian work and journalism with a smile. That's right. Yakin Hamad, 11-year-old activist and influencer, killed in Israeli strike. So just unspeakably sadistic and horrible. So everything that Norm said in that debate was validated, and everything that Benny Morris tried to throw back at him was debunked. Every single thing. And it happens that way every single time. And I guess enough of these debates happen for the man in the middle there, Piers Morgan, to finally come around and take somewhat of a stance on this. We'll see. We'll see.
He sees the writing on the wall, and he would never jump ship unless he saw it coming. And I'll bet you it's going to be what I said a long time ago. Somehow they're going to be like, it was all Netanyahu and Likud. It was all them. And, what a disaster that was. But then the crime will be completely done. So it don't matter. You just pin it on the last guy. And what I think is that's how it's going to go, because the crime's already been done, right? They're going to mop up with the last of the crime. It's not going to be stopped. And then they're going to go, oh, wasn't that too bad? I don't know how they're ever going to recover from this, because the most damaging thing I saw was like that barbecue you just showed, TikTok and stuff. That was IDF people bragging about the maniac things they were doing because they don't want to seem weak. So you got to be over the top. And back when 9/11 happened, when I lived in New York, more people would fall for that, like I would. I mean, we got to be barbaric to them and stomp on it. Any of them that have
that was Howard Stern's famous thing, right? Kill them all, right?
You got to have a boot on their neck, he said.
Yeah.
And then his Arab driver was like, don't say that. I was like, no, we're going to have to show them a thing. Real stupid. That's how trauma-based mind control works. You're emotional. Then I push a bad policy too because you're emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or me, I mean.
No, I mean, look, you saw that even after the embassy shooting. Chris Cuomo did that monologue where he's like, yeah, now we need to understand it's not about left versus right. It's about us versus them, meaning once again, the, Muslims, basically. I mean, they are just like that post 9/11 hysteria just gets flipped on like a switch in people. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I was listening to one of the talk radio shows, one of the right-wing talk radio guys. I forget who. I was like driving around. I had him in the car. And this one guy calls into the show and, like New York, like, blue collar guy. And he calls in and he says, I just want everybody to understand, because I know these are very polarized times where the country's very divided and we're all at each other's throats over politics. But I just want everybody to take a minute and step back and understand that whether you're black or white or Mexican or Chinese or man or woman or gay or straight, we all got one thing in common. We're not Muslims.
You heard my call?
That was his punchline. Yeah. And he really considered that like this MLK kind of kumbaya kind of moment.
That was 9/11 spirit that I remember.
And that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The blackout happened after 9/11, and the 70s blackout in New York was a riot disaster. it was the blackout after 9/11 was one of the best times to be in New York ever. It was just like a block party in darkness and the whole block. Everybody was cool all over the city because everybody's so traumatized from the, the smell of the dead bodies was still in the air back then, which is a very eerie smell. And everybody was just united that we're going to go blow up people with hats that, we're calling them hats to not be racist, but we don't think they're hats here in this country, mister.
Hey, have you ever tried getting ivermectin, methylene blue, or mebendazole from your regular doctor? Good luck. Most won't even talk about it. But the truth is, you shouldn't have to beg for these medicines that you want. And you shouldn't have to wait for permission to take care of your own health. I'm telling you, don't wait till you're sick. Be prepared, because when things go south, it's not the hospital that's going to save you. It's what you've already got at home. That's why I'm telling people about All Family Pharmacy. They're redefining what healthcare should be, helping you stay stocked with both essentials and everyday meds, no hassle. You order online. A licensed doctor reviews your order, writes the prescription, and boom, your meds shipped straight to your door, no hassle. They've got ivermectin, methylene blue, mebendazole, plus over 200 medications, including antibiotics, emergency kits, and your daily prescriptions. It's not just a pharmacy. It's the backup plan every family needs. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/door right now. Stock up. Be ready. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/door and use the code DOOR10 and get 10% off your order today. Come see us live in Los Angeles, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, London, Liverpool, Birmingham. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.